Hello my fellow oddities, welcome to a new video. Today I want to talk about my favorite character in all of Mortal Kombat, which you would probably know if you've been a longtime fan of this channel. And that character is the one that's in the title and thumbnail. Because, funnily enough, those are actually supposed to have something to do with your videos. Sub-Zero, more specifically, Bi-Han Sub-Zero, the first Sub-Zero from the first Mortal Kombat game released in 1992. As well as the man that would become this man right here, Noob Saibot. And I flip-flop between, is Noob Saibot my favorite character, or is Bi-Han Sub-Zero my favorite character? Flip-flops, they're both cool, but at the end of the day, Bi-Han is my favorite character. And no, I'm not like this just to be different. I know Scorpion is the most popular character in all of Mortal Kombat, and Sub-Zero is usually the second fiddle, plus the fact that Kuai Liang is like the main Sub-Zero, so usually he's the favored one among fans, and so I'm just picking like the most different option I could possibly pick, but it's because of his character, alright? So you can imagine my excitement when I learned that Bi-Han would be the main Sub-Zero of this newest Mortal Kombat game, Mortal Kombat 1, which we haven't had Bi-Han as the main Sub-Zero in a mainline Mortal Kombat game since the first one. Yeah, he's been an alternate skin for Kuai Liang in some games, and he's been a main character in his own spin-off game, but in the mainline franchise, there are only 2 games released so far where he's been the main Sub-Zero, and that's, funnily enough, Mortal Kombat 1 and Mortal Kombat 1. And with NRS's infamous full cinematic story modes that they've been doing since Mortal Kombat 9, we were going to see Bi-Han's full character in all of his glory. And plus the fact that Serena would be featured as a cameo fighter in this game, so I could finally play as the ultimate power couple in all of Mortal Kombat. Yeah, I have 0 complaints about Bi-Han's gameplay. Like, pitch perfect. But, on the other hand, when I played Mortal Kombat 1's story mode, which you can watch right up here, I was left disappointed with Bi-Han's character. In fact, you could even say that Mortal Kombat 1 ruined Bi-Han Sub-Zero. Let me explain. Now, firstly, we should talk about what Bi-Han's character actually is in the original timeline before all this time travel, new era, hourglass shenanigans started happening. Now, the problem with the 3D era and arcade era Mortal Kombat games is that they do not have the cinematic story modes of Mortal Kombat 9, X, 11, and 1, so there's not as much clear story to go off of. So all you can really go off of to try and identify a character's personality are bios, endings, parts of conquest, and just like surrounding context and guesses. So while it's probably not going to be perfect, here is what I believe Bi-Han's character was sort of going for in the original timeline. Bi-Han, along with his brother Kuai Liang, were stolen and inducted into the Lin Kuei clan of assassins and raised to be cold-blooded killers. They were also descendants of a race of cryomancers from Outworld, giving them the ability to freeze. And while this increased their effectiveness as assassins, it also increased expectations, especially for Bi-Han being the older brother. So his training most likely was much more strict and much more harsh compared to his brother Kuai Liang, making him the more uncaring and the more heartless brother of the two, while not exactly being like bloodthirsty or anything. He wasn't going out to try and kill people. It was just his job, and he didn't really care much for the people he did end up killing. And all of this made him the best assassin out of the Lin Kuei and almost the face of the clan, which got him a lot of opportunities, including one working for Quan Chi to steal the Amulet of Shinnok from the Temple of Elements. And of course, with this journey being the events of his spin-off game, Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero, there were a lot of encounters because it's a video game and you need to have gameplay. The most noteworthy encounters he had was, first of all, with the elemental gods, which there's 4 of them. 3 of them aren't really worth mentioning, and the last one was Fujin, and he killed them all. But Not really, because the gods just came back because they're immortal. But the more important encounter is, of course, his battle with Hanzo Hasashi, aka Scorpion, but he was a Scorpion at the time, and of course, Bi-Han killed him. Now, none of this so far is really important to Bi-Han's character until we get to Raiden, who appears to explain to Bi-Han why the elemental gods were there to try and stop him from stealing the amulet, because, oh wow, now Shinnok's gonna get the amulet and try and take over Earthrealm. Excellent. And so, even though Bi-Han didn't really want to do it because he didn't want to work for some random god, plus he was only really someone who worked for the Lin Kuei because he was completely loyal to that clan, but seeing as Earthrealm was going to be like taken over and stuff, he kind of had to do it. And so he went to the Netherrealm, faced a lot of demons, enemies, stuff like that, yada yada yada, video game stuff. And then of course he met 3 of Quan Chi's assassins sent out to kill him. 2 of them don't really matter that much, but the last one, Serena, is the important one. In this encounter, after defeating her, Bi-Han spared Serena, which, of course, with what happened to Hanzo earlier, isn't really something Bi-Han tends to do, and the Lin Kuei kind of have a no mercy rule set in place, so this was very interesting for Bi-Han's character. And I can't confirm this because the game doesn't really dwell on it too much, but if I had to guess why Bi-Han spared Serena, it's because he saw a bit of himself in her, a cold-hearted assassin raised from birth by this leader who didn't really see them as an actual person, but more of just a soldier in their vast army. And Bi-Han probably connected with that and wanted to get her out of that situation because secretly he probably wanted out of his situation as well. But with the Lin Kuei raising him and ingraining their ideology, their rules into his mind, it wasn't just as simple physically or mentally for him to just leave. And even though obviously this is a lot of my headcanon because the game, like I said, doesn't really talk about this too much, I believe this is the main reason why I love Bi-Han so much. It's just that conflict between good and evil, the right thing that's just objectively right, and what feels right for Bi-Han, which is the Lin Kuei and their service, their rules, even though realistically what they do is probably not the right thing. And it's just why I like the character so much. Now, either it is all of that, or Bi-Han just spared Serena because he thought she was hot. Which, you know what? Valid. But anyways, after he spared Serena, they went and defeated Quan Chi and Shinnok. Well, didn't really defeat Shinnok, he more just like stole the amulet. Oh, by the way, Serena died also, but that's not really important either. And then Sub-Zero comes back to Earthrealm, and it's revealed that Bi-Han has an inner darkness within his heart because he was able to exist in the Netherrealm, and only people who have darkness in their heart can be in the Netherrealm, which isn't really a thing anymore because, you know, Johnny Cage, Sonya Blade, they're all going to the Netherrealm, which is, I don't know, kind of inconsistent, but it doesn't really matter. Kind of makes the character growth of Bi-Han a bit less interesting, but it is what it is. But Raiden does assure Bi-Han that he can find another way to the light, to the good side, because Bi-Han doesn't want to be a bad person. That's the coolest thing I think about Bi-Han. He doesn't want to be a bad person, but indirectly he is because of his job and just how he was brought up. And it's like I said earlier, what feels right and what is right, which is just that inner conflict that I love about Bi-Han so much. He's not just a goody two-shoes who, even though he's been raised in this clan all of his life and has had their ideology smashed into his brain, as soon as he realizes, maybe this other thing might be the right thing to do, he doesn't just go straight to that and it's just like, okay, well, he's a good guy now. Kuai Liang. And then, of course, after all this happens, he gets killed by Scorpion in the Mortal Kombat tournament, yada yada yada, and that's pretty much it for Bi-Han's story. In the original timeline, yes, he does become Noob Saibot, but that's pretty much a completely different character, so it doesn't really matter to this video. But what does matter to this video, and why you clicked on it, is Mortal Kombat 1, and its portrayal of Bi-Han. Now, with this being the new era crafted by Liu Kang, there are a lot of major differences with Lin Kuei, Bi-Han, Kuai Liang, and just everything about this new timeline. So let's talk about it because it's going to be important for why I don't think Bi-Han's character works in this story. Firstly, the Lin Kuei are no longer the cold-hearted clan of assassins. They are instead just like how they are when Kuai Liang takes over in both of the older timelines. He's just like, okay, let's make this a protector group for Earthrealm because that's super exciting and different and unique, right? But yeah, from the very beginning of this timeline, we have a good Lin Kuei that works for Liu Kang, that works to protect Earthrealm, and Bi-Han is the Grand Master of it after, spoiler alert, by the way, from Mortal Kombat 1 story mode, he let his father die. Now, right off the bat, Bi-Han is just a straight-up villain, like, right off the bat, because he not only let his father die, but also this is a good Lin Kuei, so he just didn't really have any reason to do that. And then later on in the story, Bi-Han, of course, gets manipulated. Sort of manipulated, I don't know, he's kind of just convinced by Shang Tsung and Quan Chi to join their side so he can, like, raise the undead army or something. I don't know, it doesn't really matter to the end game of the story because then other stuff happens with Damashi and Shang Tsung from Aftermath and all that stuff. But Bi-Han does become evil, and he is promised a new, darker Lin Kuei that is more power-hungry and will rule the world, or something like that. Now, I think where my problems lie with this version of Bi-Han is the fact that he no longer has that loyalty that I was talking about earlier to the clan that he was raised in, because this version of the Lin Kuei are good, and they always have been good. So Bi-Han being sort of that evil anti-hero type character doesn't really work for this Lin Kuei, even though it does work for the older Lin Kuei. But they wanted to keep that aspect of his character, so he ended up just being evil for like no reason besides he's just like a jerk, I guess. I don't know. And this makes him a lot more one-dimensional because he's now just your generic power-hungry, I want to rule the world villain. And that's super boring. Now, of course, it wouldn't help much for me to just sit here and be like, this is a problem. And that's it. No, let me give how I would fix this version of Bi-Han. And it starts with changing who the Grandmaster of the Lin Kuei is. I would change the Grandmaster of the Lin Kuei from Bi-Han to Kuai Liang, who would now be the older brother. And he can be Scorpion, he can be Sub-Zero, he can be Tundra, he can be whatever, it doesn't really matter. The second thing I would change is that the Lin Kuei would no longer have always been this protector clan for Earthrealm. Instead, that would be something it was turned into by Kuai Liang when he became Grand Master. And before that, it was the Lin Kuei that we all know and love from the original timeline. And this Lin Kuei that was before Kuai Liang came around would have been led by the father of Kuai Liang and Bi-Han, and now it would be Kuai Liang who let his father die for the greater good. It's kind of something more interesting for Kuai Liang's character and adds a bit more conflict to his character because, yes, he did a bad thing by letting his father die, or even killing his father. Like, it kind of is implied that Bi-Han in the actual game might have killed his father, like letting him die. Like, I don't know, that's kind of suspicious to me. But either way, their father dies because of the actions of the son, and in my version, Kuai Liang would have been the one to do that because he wanted a greater version of the Lin Kuei that he could lead that made the right decisions and protected Earthrealm. So Kuai Liang would no longer be the, oh, I'm the goody two-shoes who's always done the right thing type of character. And as for Bi-Han, he's trying to adjust to this new Lin Kuei, but he just isn't feeling it. It's not what he was raised with. It's not how he was brought up. So he just doesn't get used to it, and he's so used to how the Lin Kuei was before. And when he learns that Kuai Liang did kill his father, or let him die, from Shang Tsung and Quan Chi, that's when the turning point happens. That's when he's tipped over the edge and decides to work for Shang Tsung and Quan Chi so he can take over the Lin Kuei and make it into how it was before. I think this just makes him a much better character and adds more conflict, adds more stuff for the Lin Kuei to talk about or do or whatever, and it just makes him have that loyalty aspect that I was talking about earlier. He's so loyal to the Lin Kuei that he just can't do the right thing sometimes. He just has to do what he wants to do, and what he wants to do is to serve the Lin Kuei how the Lin Kuei was originally, how he was brought up. This also adds more character to Kuai Liang, but he's not as important. We're talking about Bi-Han because he is the better Sub-Zero. And I know a lot of people are going to say in the comments, well, this is a new take on Mortal Kombat. Bi-Han's not going to be the exact same character he was in the original timeline. He's not going to go through the exact same storyline. It's not just going to always go back to the status quo. And I understand that. I understand that we needed change in this new timeline, this new era, because we hadn't had a whole lot of change in the Mortal Kombat franchise. A lot of the characters were kind of stagnant in just the way they were, or just straight up bad decisions would be made. And I think this is actually one of those bad decisions that were made because it doesn't keep the essence of the character. You can take a character like Liu Kang from this game. He's changed a lot. All right, he's now the protector of Earthrealm, the fire god, and yet he still is the same character inherently. He still has the same personality, the same goals, motivations, and I think you can perfectly do that with all the other characters. There are plenty of other characters from Mortal Kombat 1 who have had their backstories, their physical elements, their storylines just completely changed, but they still keep the essence of what the character is supposed to be. I guess the only exception would be a character like Raiden, but I don't think the essence of the original Raiden would really work in this newer timeline. So I give that one a pass. But for Bi-Han, as I have just showcased, he can perfectly fit into the role or the essence that he had in the original timelines and be put into this timeline fine, with not much of the story really changing that much, and he's a better character for it, in my opinion. And we've seen how these bad decisions and this dumbing down of characters have affected past iterations of these Mortal Kombat characters. Take a character like Sindel, for example. Now, of course, this was widely hated, so it's not a great example because it did end up being changed in the very next game. But even another character like Kabal. Kabal in Mortal Kombat 9 was like goated. Like the scene where he connects with Cyber Sub-Zero over their obvious alterations to their body was like so good.
What they did to him, it is hideous.
You're right. We gotta help him if we can.
And he was a good guy trying to rectify the fact that he was a mercenary in the Black Dragon, even though it didn't really make sense because cops aren't supposed to have that type of criminal record. But still, it got the spirit down. But then Kabal in Mortal Kombat 11 is just a dumbed down version of the character who's purely just a Black Dragon member, who's just kind of another Black Dragon like Cobra, Kira, Jarek, something like that. He's just another one of those guys, and don't even get me started on the Revenant version. And look at the effect that has had on the character since this point. He's just kind of a walking joke now.
Cabal sack.
He's about to get his soul sucked.
And I don't really want that to happen to my favorite Mortal Kombat character, so when stuff like this happens, when stuff like the Sindel thing happened, and we were super vocal about it, the same thing has got to happen here. We got to be vocal about the fact that Bi-Han is not like this super evil, generic, one-dimensional guy. No, he is a more complex character than that. I won't say he's like a super in-depth, deep character that you really gotta invest time in to understand. No, it's not all that, but he's definitely deeper of a character than just, I'm a power-hungry idiot who complains a lot, and I want to rule the world with my Lin Kuei clan. That was never an evil clan, but I want to make it an evil clan. You guys let me know. Am I right here? Is Bi-Han not the character he should be in this game? Or am I wrong and an idiot and Bi-Han has always been evil and one-dimensional? You guys let me know. Also, let me know what you guys think of my fix for this issue that I have. Also, I do kind of want to make this into almost a series, like how Mortal Kombat 1 perfected Reptile, or how Mortal Kombat 1 redeemed Sindel. So if you guys want to see more of these types of videos, then definitely let me know in the comments. I might even make a poll about it. But yeah, make sure to check out my links in the description, including my merch store, my membership, my Twitter, and my Instagram, plus Mortal Kombat Retold, which just had its first episode release. I am playing Reptile in the series. I'm not in the first episode, but I helped create it, and it would be really nice for you to go check that out because it's super cool. It's a project that I'm doing, and more episodes will be coming soon where I do get to voice act as Reptile. Awesome. And for anyone who doesn't know, Mortal Kombat Retold is a non-profit narrative podcast where we retell the events of all the Mortal Kombat games and the whole Mortal Kombat story with full voice acting for all of the characters. So yeah, it's a super cool project. Like I said a billion times right now, check it out. Make sure to give this video a like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell. And with that being said, that's it for this video, my fellow oddities. I'll see you next time.